What's up YouTube, Silver Dragons here, and in this video I'm talking about gold, but I'm not talking about it in the context of investing in it or stacking it. I'm talking about bartering with gold and what I like to call hyperfractional pieces of gold. I'll tell you what that means in a minute, but is this stuff worth it or is it just a ripoff? Let's get into it. Buy your gold and silver online from SD Bullion. New customers get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new. Thank you so much for watching. I do sincerely appreciate it. If you want to learn more about investing in precious metals, or if you just want to watch awesome videos about gold and silver, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, now what is hyperfractional gold? Well, in my mind, there are three different categories when it comes to gold bullion sizing. The largest of which is the standard size, which is anything 1 ounce or greater. So we're talking 1 ounce gold coins going all the way up to kilo gold bars. These are typically used for gold investment. When you're stacking gold, trying to preserve your wealth, you're going to go 1 ounce or bigger because these are going to have the lowest premiums. This is what I personally buy. When I want to stack gold, I stack 1 ounce gold coins. Then you have fractional gold, which is anything smaller than an ounce going all the way down to 1 gram. So half ounce, quarter ounce, 1/10 ounce. These are all considered fractional gold, and they're kind of a hybrid. Some people look at them as really stacking pieces or investment pieces. I mean, I know a lot of people who buy quarter ounce gold coins, 1/10 ounce gold coins for their gold stack, for their investment, but others will look at these sizes and say, no, these are actually good for barter. Even though they have an incredible amount of value to barter with, they still are something you could consider bartering with in the future. So you've got your fractional gold pieces, which are kind of a hybrid, as I said, and then you have hyperfractional, anything smaller than a gram. And these, I think, are going to be the best sizes to barter with because the value is much lower. You're going to be able to trade for regular everyday items. Now, I know you can barter with silver as well, but perhaps someone would prefer gold. So maybe you should consider having some hyperfractional gold on hand to barter with if you ever need to. So those are the kind of different categories that I think of when I think of gold sizing, and we're focusing on the hyperfractional today. Now, you may notice this case up in the top right corner. We're going to get to this at the end of the video. It is the world's smallest gold coin. I'm going to look at it under a digital microscope, so definitely stay tuned for that. And also, before we get into these hyperfractional pieces and talk about their premium over spot, how much they cost to obtain, as well as how good they would be for barter, I do want to mention the sizing when it comes to hyperfractional gold can be very confusing. So a standard measure for gold is 1 troy ounce. There are 31.1 grams in a troy ounce. So when we look at something like the Karatbars, these are 1/10 of a gram. You're going to need 311 of these to make up 1 troy ounce of gold. I know it's very confusing. And then we have grains. A lot of people don't know gold is actually measured in grains as well. There are 480 grains in 1 troy ounce. So when we look at something like a half grain gold bar, you need 960 of these to get to a troy ounce. Again, I know, very confusing. Thankfully, the Goldbacks are measured in fractions of an ounce. So 1 Goldback is 1/1000th of a troy ounce. You need 1,000 of these to get to an ounce. That's a little bit easier to understand, but anyway, let's dive into these. So first off, I'm going to throw out a few of these pieces on the table because they don't really qualify. We have a 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle. This is too big to be considered hyperfractional, but it is the smallest size gold that the US Mint makes today. So this one's gone because it's too big. Also, the $1 gold coin is too big. These were made by the US Mint back in the day. It was the smallest gold coin I believe they ever made. and they are about 1.5 grams. So again, too big to be considered hyperfractional. Also, I'm going to throw out the gold leaf because this is simply too hard to measure. Now, if you don't know what gold leaf is, it's essentially this. It's little tiny flat pieces of gold all kind of crumpled up together. Usually it's in water and it looks really pretty, but if you take this out, you dry it out, and you try and weigh it, it's very difficult to tell the weight, and you need really expensive testing equipment to even make sure it's real gold. So gold leaf, not good for barter. I do not recommend it under any circumstances. And then gold shot, I don't recommend this either. Now, I took this 24 karat gold shot down to my coin shop, and even the professionals had a hard time determining the purity. They were going to pay me somewhere around 18 karat pricing for this shot. So if you are trying to barter with this, it's going to be extremely difficult. They're all different sizes. They're not labeled. So I don't recommend gold shot at all. Okay, let's get to some of these other hyperfractional pieces. I want to start with the Karatbars. Now, these are not made anymore. The company went out of business, as you can see here, permanently closed. They were based out of Germany, and they got into some trouble with the multi-level marketing scam type stuff. So they don't make these anymore as far as I know. No one produces the Karatbars. They also call them Karat Cash, Karat Pay. There's a few different names for these, but essentially what these are is a beautiful bill here, which is intended to be used for barter, and they contain 1/10 of a gram. So they did have other sizes as well, but this one here I believe is the most common, 1/10 of a gram. So again, 311 of these make up 1 troy ounce. Now, I had a really hard time finding pricing. What I did was I took the average of some of the recent sales on eBay, and it came to about $20. So I did the math, and that is a 204% premium above spot, which is kind of middle of the pack. Some of these items are worse, some of these are better. So I would say, all in all, I like the idea. I like that you can see the gold bar right here. I don't like that they say "in gold we trust." I wish it would say "in God we trust." So these are not my favorite, but I think you certainly could do worse. And if you come across a bunch of these at a reasonable price and you want to use them for barter, I think this is somewhat reasonable. Now up here we have a 1/20th of a gram gold bar made by Nadir, and they don't make these anymore either. So these really small gold bars, I believe the market is sort of drying up for these. As far as premium is concerned, I paid more for this as compared to the Karatbar, so it was around 250%, but you really can't find these small bars anymore. So these are kind of bottom of the list for me when it comes to barter. Not only can you not find them, but it's hard to do the math. I mean, 1/20th of a gram, how much gold is that, right? So I don't like that aspect. All in all, not a huge fan. Next up, we have the Benchmark Strategic Metals gold bars. And if we go to their website, you can see they sell so many of these tiny little fractional bars. They're mostly in weird sizes. I mean, 1/15th of a gram, 1/60th of a gram. Very, very weird. But the grain ones are the ones I want to focus on because I actually think they're kind of cool. Like I said before, 480 grains equal 1 troy ounce. So we're going to start with the smallest here, the quarter grain. I have 2 of them. And 1/4 of a grain is actually the smallest gold product that you can really buy right now. I mean, these are even smaller than the Goldback. So very, very small, very hyperfractional. However, the premium is kind of high for these. They only sell them in a 10 pack, but I did the math and it's 262% above spot. So the highest premium we have seen so far. The 1/2 grain, a little bit more reasonable. These ones are only 223% above spot. And the most reasonable is the 1 grain. These ones are 147% above spot. So the lowest premium we've seen so far. Now, I think these look cool. I like the card. I like that they say "in God we trust," made in the USA. This is all great stuff. So I think if you wanted to use these for barter, I would prefer the 1 grain gold bars because the premium is the lowest. However, I still don't think this is the best you can do. My favorite option for barter is another product made in the USA, and that is the Goldback. These have the lowest premium of all the hyperfractional pieces here. So if you look at their website, you can see the average exchange rate. This is the average price you can buy these at. So some places cheaper, some places they're going to be more expensive, but the premium is 109% above spot. So these are the most reasonable. They are very gorgeous, and they are measured in fractions of a troy ounce. So 1/1000th of a troy ounce is the 1 Goldback. You also have the 5, the 10, 25, and 50, which are all interchangeable as well. So a very cool product. I think they're gorgeous. And if I had to pick something here to use as barter, I would prefer these. They're still making them today. Nearly 25 million of these have been produced to date, so I think they're going to be the most recognizable if you ever need to use them. So these are my top choice, but let's get to the world's smallest gold coin. This is about 3/4 of a grain, so very, very small. I mean, what you're picturing in your head, it's probably much different. It is an Indian coin, and I'll just show it to you here. Check that out. I mean, it's like a tiny little speck. Let's get it under the microscope. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was so terrified when I opened the case that I would drop it, and of course I did. It took me like 5 minutes to find it on the ground, but either way, here it is. I believe it's called a Bele or Bele, and it is such a small gold coin. You can see there's something stamped on it. I believe they would find little gold nuggets and then put their own stamp on them and use these as coins. So small hyperfractional gold has been used to barter with in the past. Here's the other side. You can see nothing stamped on this side. So they only stamped one side of the coin, but such an interesting piece of history. I was able to find some of these for purchase online, and the premium was 525% above spot. So these coins are not recommended for barter today. They're just a collectible. But either way, I still think they're very cool. And it does show that we've used hyperfractional gold as a currency in the past. So anyway, if there are any other hyperfractional gold pieces out there that I didn't cover, feel free to put them down below in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts of all the different pieces I showed today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next one. Silver Dragons out.